Hey, so we're still talking about the basic stuff for magazine publishers, and today I wanted to talk about newsletter open rates. So as you know, the newsletter and the email is the most effective marketing channel for magazine publishers. And if your newsletter open rates are lower than 22%, you should really watch this video and get your open rates fixed with me. Let's get into my computer and let's get to work. So there are actually quite a few ways to improve the open rate. But actually, if you look at your email and what people see when they get a newsletter from you, so they are going to see the sender address or from where they got the email, then the subject line, and then a little part of the first sentence. So you should really focus on these things if you want to increase your newsletter open rates, okay? So let's go through all these things step by step. So first of all, you need to make sure that your newsletter doesn't go to spam, because otherwise all the optimizations doesn't make sense. So if you're getting very low open rates, like below 5%, most likely your email goes to spam, and you should really fix that. Next thing that you need to make sure is to keep your mailing list up to date. If you have a lot of crap in your, sorry for the word, but if you have a lot of crap or old email addresses to your mailing list and you get quite a bigger bounce rate, or some of the mailboxes are dead and not checked by the real people, you should really focus on cleaning your mailing list. There are tons of services that does that. They can clean your mailing list. They can just remove all the used email addresses. They can remove all the email addresses that no longer exist and stuff like that. So you should really keep your mailing list up to date. That's really important. And if you don't do these two things about the spam and the cleaning the email list, you won't get good open rates, okay? So as soon as you fix those things and you make sure that those things are good, you can focus on optimizing your newsletters. So first thing that you can optimize is a subject line, and there are actually 3 good subject lines that can be used to increase open rates. So first of all, you can use fear of missing something as a subject, then the curiosity, so people be curious to open it, and finally something funny. This can be just, something stupid, or something really funny that creates a signal that it was written by a human, and this really helps to increase open rates, because everything is automated, everything is cold, and it really misses the human touch nowadays, So if you can add that by bringing one of these 3 subject lines, this will really help you increase your open rates. And finally, if you can personalize your subject lines, this is even better. What I'm talking about personalization, most of the people just use that hey and you add name, So this is not actually the case. You should collect more data to your mailing list, You should maybe get a company name. You should maybe get a person's location and stuff like that. You should get as much data as possible and try to use it on your behalf to increase your open rates and to bring better content to people. If you want to go crazy with your email marketing and in your newsletters, you can segment people by location and personalize to them. This of course takes a lot of time to create newsletters for different segments, but this way, if you invest time and you really personalize it, you will really get amazing open rates, and you can aim to 30, 40, or even 50% if you make it really good. And the last thing that people see in their mailboxes is the first sentence, actually just a little part of first sentence. It depends on email service provider, but if, for example, you use Gmail or Yahoo or something popular, you can really try that. So just try to send a newsletter to yourself and see how much of the first sentence you see, and just try to optimize those few words. So there are just a few tips what you can do by writing the first sentence. First of all, just cut the crap. Sorry for the curse word, but just go right to the point. People really love going right to the point. okay? Next thing, use strong statements. And finally, tease. So if you have all, let's say 5 words are visible from your first sentence, so just use it by using one of those 3 strategies. And of course, the final tip doesn't matter if you use any of those 3, just try to personalize that. Okay, so as soon as you have your newsletter optimized, you need to know the best time to send the newsletters, because that really matters. If you optimize your content and you send a really good newsletter, but you don't send it on the right time, it won't get good open rates. Sorry, that's how it works, okay? So first of all, when not to send, okay? So the worst day to send newsletters or any important email or cold email is on Mondays, because people are bombed by mail and most of them are cleaning their mailboxes or they're busy with all the things that come up on Mondays, you know, and they're trying to prepare for upcoming week. So it's really bad time because people don't have time for your newsletters, okay? And of course, if your magazine is not hobby related and it's really like some kind of, serves some kind of vertical industry or some kind of serious topic, I don't suggest sending newsletter on weekends, because people most likely want to rest on weekends and they might not draw the attention to your newsletter. So actually, when is the good time to send it? So for the best day to send the newsletters, and of course, this also is shown on the multiple case studies by MailChimp, GetResponse, and all the big players in the market that are responsible for delivering most of the newsletters to our inboxes. And the best day is Wednesday or Thursday, and the most popular times are 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And of course, using personalized approach. If you know something that is going on in that location when you deliver the email, the newsletter, you should personalize it and segment those people and send the newsletter differently to them. You know, for example, if you are running a global magazine, there might be a Russian Christmas or some kind of Chinese New Year or something like that, you know. So you really need to understand those special personalized conditions and work with them when sending newsletters, okay? And the final thing is, final advice is just to be different, you know. Try to be different, you know. Even if I advise you all these things, I also advise you to test, you know. All this data is available online, and all the email marketers trying to fit in that data. They all send on Wednesdays or Thursdays. They all try to send on the time, and they are all doing this thing. So maybe, just maybe, for your magazine, it might work if you do something differently. Maybe it would work if you send it on weekends. Maybe it would work. Maybe it would work if you send it on Mondays. If you are using some kind of productivity content or something, maybe that's a good time to send on Mondays. Maybe it's a good time to send at 10 p.m. or something like that. You should really test and understand what works the best for your audience. These are just the tips to get your email marketing started, or just to move it to the normal levels. But if you want to reach extraordinary levels of success with your newsletter and your niche magazine, you really need to test, collect as much as data as possible on your audience, and try to deliver better and more interesting content, okay? So let's get to the next page. Okay, so I really wanted to share this with you because it's very important, I think. So the researchers show that the email doesn't last. This is an email open tail. So the most newsletters that you send are open within 30 minutes, and after 24 hours, the chances that your newsletter will be opened is close to 0. You know, so for example, if you send your newsletters on Saturday and you mostly have work email of those people, the email that you sent won't last until Monday, you know. So it's very important to test that, okay? So just have this in mind when creating your newsletter campaigns, and I think this will help you. Okay, so let's talk about automation a little bit. How much email actually is too much? So first of all, I think you should recycle the content. If you create a good newsletter and you only send it once, it's not actually really good to send it only once, because as I told you before, you really need to test, and how to test. You don't need to test by creating different content, you know. You might change it a little bit, you know. You might want to change the subject line, you might want to change the first sentence and see how it works. So for example, if you send the first newsletter on Tuesday to, let's say, 10,000 subscribers, okay? And let's say 10% opens your newsletter, and that's quite good, okay? That's a decent number. But you created that newsletter, you already invested the time, and you want to get more out of it, right? So you should send the same newsletter, just optimize the subject line and the first sentence, and try to send it later on the same day, or maybe on the morning on the Wednesday, you know, just to those people who doesn't open that email. And just test that. Maybe you will get better open rates. And then maybe try to do that one more time. Again, changing the subject line and changing the first sentence. This is how you test, and this is how you understand what subject lines, first sentences, and sending times delivers the best results for you, okay? Yeah, it's very important to recycle the content. So for example, if you're sending, let's say, 2 newsletters during the week, it's a good idea to send a data recap newsletter on Friday or on Sunday. Sunday actually is quite a good time to send stuff to people, because depends on your industry, of course. Quite a lot of people are preparing for the week on the afternoon of the Sunday. So if your newsletter is very industry related, it's quite a good idea to send that, because people have some time to consume the information that you send. So it's kind of good thing to do the recaps. So it's very good to write a subject line, something like, in case you missed it, just check that, you know? So this is really effective tips, and if you would apply all those tips to your newsletters, you will increase your open rates for sure. And just try that, play with that, and you will love it. You know, this is really addictive to optimize your newsletter open rates. That's really good thing to do. And thank you very much for checking this video. I hope you will get the best open rates. I wish you the best, and if you need some help or support getting better email open rates for your newsletters, for your niche magazine, we're here to help, and you can visit us on flip180media.com.